All right, everybody, here we go. Got a little cooking video I'm gonna put together for y'all today. Got a good friend of mine coming over tonight. My mentor, deer hunting, George, and just a really good friend, good guy. He's coming over tonight, the evening. Tell him I was gonna cook for him. He's been a little under the weather. So tonight, I'm putting together a fricassee, and this is something I just been waiting to do. I did it for Father's Day, but I've been wanting to make another one. The last one came out so good. So I'm just gonna show y'all how I put this together. It's a simple dish. We don't have no wild game right now. It's going to be a chicken fricassee. It's going to have some potatoes in it. It's going to be really good. I know you guys can't taste it through the screen, but you're just going to have to trust me on this one. So my mama kind of taught me how to make a fricassee, and then I kind of put my own touch on it as I grew up. But we're going to go from here. So first thing we're going to start off with, we ain't talking about roux, we ain't talking about potatoes, we ain't talking about nothing. The first thing before we touch any seasoning or anything, we're going in with that chicken. No seasoning on it. We're just going to drop it in. We already got this pot heating up a little bit. I cut that chicken in chunks. I'm going to put that in there. And I'm going to let that just brown down all by itself with no seasoning in it, no nothing right now. And it's going to make its own little gratin on the bottom of the pot. It's gonna cook up. For y'all that don't know, the gratin is just gonna be the brown that sticks to the bottom of the pot with the grimace, and that probably don't help y'all out much either. There's gonna be some little chunks that's gonna break off and stick to the bottom of the pot, and we'll scratch that off with a flat spoon and get some flavor stirred up in there. Seasoning's gonna come in a little bit later on, but right now I just want this chicken to do its thing. Right now we're gonna take this chicken out of the pot later on, put some vegetables in, but right now we're going to start this fricassee off very simple. Chicken in the pot. It always helps if you can have you one of these nice Magnite pots like this, but they're kind of expensive. So any pot you got to do, but I like these. They hold the heat really good pots. But all right, we're going to check back with y'all in a little bit. We're going to let this fry down, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. We're going to see what it looks like. And I'll check back with y'all. And let's see how it's going. All right, y'all, come back, check on this. We got that chicken starting to stick to the bottom of the pot. We got a good bit of gritty down on the bottom. So I'm gonna pour about half a quart of chicken broth in there. That'll cool it back down a little bit. And that's gonna allow us to scratch some of that brown off the bottom of the pot. You definitely want to keep an eye on this while you're doing it, because once it starts sticking, you ain't got very long to get it off the bottom. But I've done this enough, I know exactly about how long it takes. So, not to say that I haven't got caught up in the past, but you could always save it. But anyway, see right there how I'm scraping that off the bottom? All that brown. See them grimace coming off of there? That's what you want. Use that flat spoon like that. See that? That helps you. Then you can just work it back and forth like a little mop. You get that off the bottom. And once you get the most of that off the bottom, that's good. You can go ahead and get the chicken out. We're gonna come back and scratch it up a little bit more and try to get all that gratin off the bottom. But that gratin from the chicken, all that brown, that's where a lot of your flavor is gonna come from. Look at that chicken. It's cooked pretty. Nothing's burnt on it. Like I said, that's all about timing, you know. You just got to get it down to an art. If it's your first time doing it, you're going to have to keep a close eye on it. But just when it starts to stick, that's when you want to pull that chicken and scrape that gratin off the bottom. And that chicken broth helps get off. If you don't have chicken broth, you can use water. It still works good. But I just always felt that, I always found that using chicken broth just helped it to maintain that flavor a little bit better. And if you have some homemade chicken broth, chicken stock, whatever you want to call it, that's even better. But half of the time when we cooking this stuff, man, it's last minute. We ain't got no time. I mean, today is a Tuesday. And I talked to my buddy George this morning, and he said, man, I'm coming over and eat. I said, well, let me get the pot out. I'm going to cook you a fricassee. So that's how we got to this point. Last minute, we just pulled it all out. I'm going to set that chicken to the side. I'm going to put that back in the refrigerator after a little while. Just let it sit there while this cooks back down. But at this point, we're just gonna scrape the rest of that stuff off of there. When I feel like we got it all off the bottom, we're gonna crank that fire back up a little bit. We're gonna add in the onions and the bell pepper. Tori just cut them up for me. They're nice and fresh. I like them fresh, but usually whenever I do some onions and bell peppers, what I'll do is I'll cut enough to last me for the next 2 or 3 gravies, and I'll put them in the freezer. I don't really work hard cutting them up. Tori has a little chopping machine that just takes all the fun out of it, you know. Ooh, that jumped back at me, but it's all right. Look, we're going. Look, it burned all the little hairs off my knuckle like that. Y'all be careful. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna get that heating back up. By the time I reach over here and grab the onions and the bell pepper, they're behind y'all. By the time I grab that, we're gonna start getting some heat. There we go. See that already bubbling in there like that? Already got that heat flowing back to it. Now we got them green beans. Ain't nothing but a little bit of chicken broth and green beans in there. And gratin. So, all right, there we go. That right there, that's about a bag and a half of onions chopped up. They're the little red bags that you get at the Walmart. You know, I'm just gonna grab me 2 or 3 big handfuls, enough to cover the bottom of the pot. Yeah, I know I'm messy, but it's okay. That's why I made this outdoor kitchen, so I can make a mess. And don't worry, Tyler is running around my feet right now waiting for me to drop a piece of chicken. Ain't that right, Tyler? Y'all can't see her. She's right here. That's my old dog, Tally. I found her in the woods a couple years ago while I was turkey hunting. And she was skinning bones. I'll show y'all what she looks like. She was skinning bones, and we took her home, and we brought her to the vet and gave her some food, and been having her for a little over a year or so. I don't even know, but she's super healthy now. Very good dog. Keeps guard of the place. But we're gonna do the same thing with the bell pepper. We're just gonna cover the bottom of the pot. And that's it. No, we're gonna let that cook down. And that's what I got left. That was 4 bell peppers and a bag and a half of yellow onions. And that's what I got left. And that's what I find that, you know, 4 bell peppers to a bag and a half, that gives me about an equal amount. That's about what we usually do. So, and that right there, I might be able to get 2 more out of it, but probably just 1. And then I'll have a little bit left over. But I'm gonna put that back in the freezer, and we're gonna let this do its thing. It won't take long, 15, 20 minutes. This baby's gonna be ready to do something with. I turn the fire down a little bit, gonna give it a little stir. I've been cooking on this little burner right here that I got from my son. I acquired it from him. He actually left it over here in storage, and I don't know, it just became mine. So, but look at that. Look how them, y'all see how them green beans is mixed up with them onions and them bell peppers? Man, that's where it's gonna be at right there. But anyway, it won't be long. I'm gonna be putting in a sink right over there, and I'm gonna be putting in a stove right over here. Probably just gonna put in an electric stove for the simple fact that I've already done spent so much money on this outdoor kitchen. I'm moneyed out, so I'm probably just gonna go ahead and get a cheap used electric stove for now, and then maybe, I don't know, in a year or so from now, I might get me a gas stove, a propane stove, and hook up a propane bottle outside. We do have natural gas here, but really I'm trying to do away with the natural gas, because the only other thing we got running on natural gas over here at the house is our fireplace. We love our fireplace. We only use it during the winter, and it costs us $40 a month for the whole year. So I don't like paying for the whole year. So eventually we're going to go to natural gas, and when I do that, then I'll put in, butane. When I do that, then I'll put in a butane stove here. But for now, we're going to go electric. It's easy, cheap, and I'm going to put in a sink there, and that's going to help me out from having to run back and forth to wash stuff. But for now, just trying to get this going for y'all so y'all can see how we cook over here in the South. you know. And a lot of y'all that's watching this that's from Louisiana, y'all don't criticize me too bad. I know y'all might have a little bit different way of doing this, especially whenever we start getting a little further south around I-10 and stuff. Like I said, I was born and raised in Avoyelles Parish. I live in Grant Parish now, but the closer you get to I-10, the more cocky they get. You get south of I-10, them suckers are really cocky. They think they can cook up a stick and make it taste good, which I know some people that can cook up a stick and make it taste good. But regardless, this is how I cook it. This is how we eat it. And this is how I grew up. My mama taught me how to cook it like this. And like I said, I threw in my own touch here and there. And this is how we do it. And I'm going to tell you right now, ça c'est bon. So it's you eat your finger to the nubs, I'll tell you that. All right, guys. We'll check back with y'all in a little bit. We're going to let this cook down a little bit. And next, we're going to add in the seasoning and the roux. The roux. Oh, what's he going to use for some roux? I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to use the jar roux? Maybe. I ain't got nothing against jar roux. I'm all about jar roux, but let's see what we got. All right, I'll check back with y'all. All right, y'all. Come back and check on the onions. That's frying down in there. Perfect. They just starting to stick to the bottom. Just how I like it. About all the juice came out. We're just going to put a little bit of chicken broth in here. Not much. Just a little bit. Just like that. And we're going to get it, scrape it off the bottom. Same way like what we did with the chicken. We're going to scrape it off the bottom. And it's going to be dark, dark, dark brown. You're going to see it starting to burn to the bottom, stick to the bottom a little bit. That's how you want it. Now, if you like it a little bit lighter, you can go a little bit lighter. I like a good dark gravy. This is a fricassee. We want some color to it. We want some thickness to it. So you definitely want to stir that around. You can see in there all them green meats are sticking to the bottom. Man, it's looking good. It's looking really good. So look at that. Look at that. Now that's a good color right there. We got all that sorted out. All right. Now, I always like to give it a little taste right at this point. We have not put anything in here but chicken broth, onions, and bell peppers. No salt, no seasoning, no nothing. I almost don't even need nothing. It's almost perfect just like it is right there. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to slap a little bit of seasoning in there. And this is when we're going to put our roux in, right about here. So I'm going to get my fire kicked back up. I always cut my fire before whenever I come in and stir it, just kind of look at it and measure it out. And I want to feel what it's doing, you know. If it would have needed to go a little bit longer right here, I'd have turned the fire back on or whatever. But right about here, this is about perfect. Perfect color, really dark brown. The onions and the bell peppers are starting to break down really good. That's what you want. So let me get that fire back going. See if I can burn all my little hairs off my hand again. Woo! Boy, that thing jumps out of there. All right, we're just going to turn the fire down on low. We don't want it too high. All right, about right there. All right. So let's talk about seasoning. Very seldom will you ever see me use any salt. I don't use it much. Most of the seasonings already have plenty of salt in them, especially if you're using Tony's. I don't use Tony's a whole lot. Not that I got anything against it. It's a great seasoning. I just got some others that I prefer. And one that I'm going to talk about now is not a Cajun seasoning. I don't guess it is. I don't even know where it's from or what it does or whatever. But this is something that we found over at Max one day. Picked it up and there was a recipe they called for it. So we got it. And it works really good. It's actually really, really good if you do steaks, but it works on anything. So this is called some adobo seasoning. And I really can't explain it, but it's really good. It doesn't have any pepper in it. I don't know. I'm sure it's got some salt in it. But anytime I cook, I don't care what I'm cooking. Hamburgers, noodles, it don't matter. I always sprinkle a little bit of this in it. It's just got a really, really good flavor. I'm just going to come over there with a liberal amount right on top. If I was just using this, I'd put a lot more. But I always like to back it up with the, I love the Kinder seasoning. I get this over at Sam's. This is just the Cajun one. There's another one called Cowboy Butter. That one's pretty awesome too. And then you just have the all-purpose seasoning. That one's real good. But there's all different kinds. But for me, my favorite one is the Cajun seasoning that they make. I don't know if there's some Cajuns or not, but I do know that this has a good smell to it, and I know it tastes good. If you want something a little bit hotter, at this point, I would drop in some red pepper flakes just a little bit. But everybody that's going to be eating on this tonight, we all fight with heartburn. So no red pepper flakes for us. But I put a liberal amount of that in there too. That's about right. Like, remember what I say all the time? You're going to hear this a lot. You've heard a lot of people say this. You can always add, but you can't take away. So that really works when you're talking with salt. But like I said, I'm never going to, very rarely are you ever going to see me add salt to anything. Unless it's like jerky or something. But most of the seasoning has plenty of salt in it. Now I'm just going to stir that around in there. Before I add my roux, because the roux is going to change the flavor completely. Before I add my roux, I'm going to give it a little taste just to make sure. And when you're getting this taste, try not to pick up the onions and stuff. You want to come in there, you want to get the green beans in that juice. You want to see what that tastes like. Perfect. Perfect. All right. That's going to hit right there. All right. I was telling y'all about the roux. I don't use jar roux for the most part unless I'm in a bomb. Last minute, Tori ain't here to make me a roux, whatever. But that's the secret. That's my secret weapon. Tori makes my roux for me. Not that I can't make a roux, I just don't like making one. It takes forever. But this is one that she made a couple of weeks ago, actually for Father's Day. And we had some left, so I put it in the refrigerator. It's probably been in there about a week, but it's still good. It's great. But this is just some pre-made roux that Tori made. And probably just enough, probably about a half a pint. And we're just going to spoon that out there. And we're just going to glob it on down in there. She's actually in the house right now working on another batch of roux, just so we can have some. Because I plan on doing a good bit of cooking. As soon as we get the first cold snap, I'm going to be making a gumbo, and y'all going to get to see that. So if I need to add a little bit more, I'll have some more here in a little while. You could always, same thing, roux seasoning. You could always come back and you can add some. Can't take none away. So I'll come in, I'll stir that roux around. Right about here, you'll see it kind of start to get a little dry because the roux's kind of dry. You can finish pouring the rest of your chicken broth. And that's a whole quarter chicken broth that we used in there at this point. Now, this has salt content in it as well. So just remember, we didn't use no salt. But if you use any salt, it's going to be too salty. If you use any of them other seasonings. But anyway, you want to get that flat spoon in there like that. And if you don't have a flat spoon, you can go buy one because you need a flat spoon. That's going to really help you. Order you one on Amazon, whatever. I got 2 or 3 of them around here just in case I lose them. So I always scrape that gratin right there off the side of the pot. By this point, those of y'all that are not Cajun that are watching this, and y'all done heard me say gratin a couple of times, you're able to associate what gratin is. All of that stuff right there on the edge of the pot and then sticks to the bottom, that's your gratin. It's a little bit different than the grimace. The gratin sticks to the bottom of the pot. The grimace is all them little chunks of chicken and everything that gets left over. But anyway, you want to stir this up real good. You want to get that roux down in there, around in there. You just want to get it moving in there. So just remember, at this point, I've used an entire quart of chicken broth. Just about every time I'm going to cook some kind of gravy meal, whether it's a jambalaya or rice and gravy or whatever, I'm going to use about a quart of chicken broth in it, After this, look at that thickening up right there. Look at that. Man, I think that's almost a perfect amount of roux. Probably about a pint of roux, maybe a little less than that if I had to guess. like I said, just start off light. You could always add some in, but you want to get that consistency right there. Look at that. Look, that's what you want right there. Almost looks like some mashed up red beans and rice is what it looks like. But man, you can smell it in here. Ooh, man, it smells good. Now, from this point, we're going to add a little bit of water. Some people don't like to use water, and that's fine. If you want, you can drop a beer into it. All right, I always use this Ozarka water. That's what I like. I drink that. I put my juice in there, everything. But I find a bottle of water at this point is the perfect measurement. 16 ounces, that's a perfect measurement. And that's it. We're going to stir that in there. Get it looking right. And we are about to add that chicken. So I got some chicken, some boneless, skinless chicken breasts in there, and I've got some chicken thighs. I always like to use the chicken thighs, the boneless chicken thighs. It's got a little bit more fat in it when I first fry it down, you know. But that's just what I like to use. Now later on in the season, when we start killing some wild hogs and some deer and whatever, ducks, whatever else we kill, the chickens are going to survive a little bit better around here. We back off. Chicken is what we eat whenever we run out of deer and wild game. You always want to taste. As you go, you want to taste. Don't be scared to taste. That's pretty good right there. That's pretty good. So right now I'm gonna add my chicken back in, and I am gonna let that simmer down for a little while. Also, almost forgot, my potatoes. My potatoes are about to go in. So I've got the little, I really like the little bitty potatoes, but we couldn't find none. Walmart's remodeling or something right now, and we just didn't have no time, so we did a Walmart order, and they bought us a little bit bigger potatoes. So we're going to chop those up real quick, and we're going to drop those in here along with our chicken. All right, I got that chicken out of the refrigerator. We're just going to take it and drop it down in there. I always like to put a good bit of meat, but always remember when you're doing this, when you're putting the potatoes in, it's going to take up a good bit of space too. So make sure you leave you enough space for your potatoes. Potatoes and rice? What? That's a lot of starches. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But back in the day when they made this stuff, man, look, they didn't care. They just ate whatever they had. They picked the potatoes out the field, killed the chicken in the yard. They went with it. All right. We're just gonna stir that in. I'm gonna go in the house. I'm gonna go cut my potatoes up. I still ain't cut them up yet. But we're gonna let this simmer down. Look at that. Look how pretty. Look at the color on that. Man. That right there, I tell you what. It's gonna be a good night. It's gonna be a good night. I'm gonna have to stop cooking like this because hunting season's coming. I gotta drop a couple of pounds. All right, so here we go. For the very first time, we're going with the lid. We're just gonna sit that baby on there. Make sure that fire is low, low, low. Low fire. I got a lot of fans blowing in here because I'm outside. You know, this outdoor kitchen it's open. It's an open front. It's not air conditioned or nothing. So I got 3 high-powered fans blowing on me at all times. I gotta watch my fire so it don't blow it out. But it feels decent in here. In the middle of the summer over here in Louisiana, it can get up to 100, 105 degrees, especially when I'm under this tin roof right here. But with these fans blowing and everything, it feels pretty good out here. I don't mind it. So I'm gonna go wash these bowls and cut my potatoes. I'll be back to y'all in a little while. All right, y'all. I came back, went to the potatoes. Also got a couple of eggs in there. I done seen people break that up in gumbo. Not a fan. We ain't gonna break these eggs. We're just gonna set them in there real gently and we're gonna let them boil because I like a boiled egg with it. Sometimes I'll make some deviled eggs, but I ain't got no time for that today. We're gonna take them eggs and just set them right down in there. It's gonna be like a boiled egg. It might suck up some of that juice, but Tori's inside making some homemade biscuits and roux right now. And she's probably gonna have that on her TikTok. I might have to check that out. If y'all want to see how the biscuits and the roux got made, well, y'all go check out Tori's TikTok. I'll leave a link in the description. Y'all to check that out. We're just gonna put them potatoes in there. We ain't getting super aggressive with it right here. We're just gonna put a couple of them in there. Give it a soft stir. Right now, we're just trying to let this simmer down. Let these potatoes cook down and let that chicken suck up some of that juice. Once that chicken sucks up that juice, the potatoes suck up them juice. At this point right here, I say we got about another hour. I'll let this thing simmer low and slow for about an hour once I put the potatoes and the chicken back in. Usually I put the potatoes and chicken in at the same time. I just didn't have them cooked. But, I mean, it's only been about 5 minutes. So, but that's it. That's what it looks like right there. That is looking delicious. I got to get another little taste test right now. Got to get another little taste test. The potatoes is going to suck up a lot of that, so we'll taste test it again, see if we need to add some more seasoning at the end. I'll tell you what, it's probably going to need a little bit more roux. I think I'm going to hit it with a little bit more than that adobo. If y'all do use this Cajun seasoning, you can use a good bit of it, but it does have a little fire in it. Not a whole lot, though. Not like if we added red pepper flakes. If we add some red pepper flakes, it'd be heartburn heaven, for sure. My birthday was earlier this week. I turned 42, and I don't know. The older you get, the more heartburn comes after you. So, all right, y'all. That's what it looks like. Give it another little taste. That's it. A little bit more roux. And we're going to be there. As soon as the store is finished cooking that, I'm going to come add a little bit more roux. We'll be right there. And that'll probably be, by the time I add another good tablespoon in there, that'll be about a pint of roux that we put in there. So just to give you guys an idea of how much roux I'm using. So, all right, I'll check back with y'all in a little bit whenever we do that. All right, y'all, I'm back. I got a fresh roux. Tori just got through making it. Got it right here in this bowl. Just one got it out of the house and just finished it up. We're gonna take the lid off of this thing right here. We're gonna add some of that to it. I got a little bit of water too, because we're probably gonna need to add a little bit more water, but we'll see what it looks like. Oh yeah, that's looking good. You gotta constantly stir this because it's gonna keep sticking to the bottom with that roux in it. But the more you stir it, and the more you get that stuff off the bottom, that gratin off the bottom, the better it's gonna taste. All right, let's put a little bit of roux in there. I'm just gonna go with one big spoonful in there. We're gonna stir that in there, and then we're gonna give it a taste. You gotta stir it slow. You see them potatoes are gonna start to break apart, so you don't really want to stir it in too fast. All right. And I'm gonna give it a taste before I add water, because the water is just gonna cook out. The water, the only reason we putting the water in there is just to give it a little bit more time to cook. That's it. So that the potatoes can get soft and that the chicken can soak up the juice. That's all we're doing. So I had that little bit of roux in there on my spoon. Give it a little taste. It's thick, thick, and that's what you want. You want to see. It's like it's like they said on the Thunder menus. It's thick, and it's not sticking to the side. That guy cracks me up. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, y'all go check out Thunder menus. All right, and y'all will get a kick out of that, especially if you Cajun. That's good, but I think I'm just gonna put a dab more, just a dab more, like that. We're gonna add some water. Now after we add this water in here, it's been cooking down for a while. Potatoes getting soft, everything's sucking up that juice, getting some good color. We're gonna stir that in there. At this point, we just cooking it down to the right thickness. And that's just gonna have to be something we're gonna watch. There's no real time limit on this or how much water to use. None of that. A lot of this is just touch and go. You just gotta watch it. Some of the stuff you kind of know, hey, it takes 10 minutes on, low heat for my chicken to start sticking or my onions to start sticking, whatever. You'll learn that stuff, but for the most part, it's touch and feel. So you see, I actually like that thickness right there. I like that texture right there. I might actually have to add a little bit more water because my potatoes still need to cook down a little bit, and I actually like the way that looks. That looks really good right there. See, it's thick, but it flows. It's thick, but it flows. That's what you're looking for. But it still needs to cook down a little bit more because my potatoes, I don't know. Let me stab the potatoes. Get you a plastic fork like that, and you ought to be able to just stab that potato and not pick it up. It's almost there, but it needs to go a little bit more. So I'm actually gonna get another bottle of water. I'm gonna put one more bottle of water in this thing, and I'm just gonna let it cook down. 30 minutes, another hour, till I have this consistency that I have right here. This is the consistency that I want. So I'm just gonna put some more water in it so it can cook back down to this point, and my potatoes can get soft. All right, y'all. Been cooking this gravy for a little while now. Probably been on a good hour since we put the potatoes in. Added some water to it. Turned the fire way down. I just kind of let it just sit there in its own juice. It's good to let it rest for a little while. So, see that right there? Oh yeah, what we want. It's just been resting, but it's got good color to it. Fire is super, super light right now. Barely even on. Just enough to keep it warm to be able to eat for supper. But I always like to let it rest after I cook for a good hour. Even if you cut the fire completely and just turn it right back on before you eat just to warm it up, that's good too. But that's it. That's the color. That's the consistency that we wanted. Let's see what the potatoes are looking like. Let's see. Can't keep them on the fork. Look at that. Turn it down like that. And if you look real good in that pot, you got all them little green meats in there. All them little pieces of chicken floating around in there. That's just going to make it real good. I'm going to give it a little taste there just to see. That's it. Cut the video. That's it. It's over with. That is delicious. Man, that is good. I wish you guys could be here to taste this right here. But We're gonna shut it down. I'm gonna shut the fire off. I'm gonna let this rest for 30 minutes to an hour. George is coming over. He'll be here after a while to come eat. We're gonna put the rice on, and I'll show you guys once we get it all set up. Sit down at the table. We got our biscuits and we got our corn and everything else that we're gonna be eating with it. Y'all don't forget to check out that biscuit recipe that Tori has on TikTok. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description for you guys to go check out her TikTok. Uh, those biscuits, this is a good gravy. Those biscuits are really going to be the highlight of the meal. So you guys really need to check that out. It's a really good recipe that she got. So, all right, guys, we'll check back with you later on whenever we have the meal set up and everybody sits down to eat. So, we'll catch y'all then.
Can you get in?
Hold on, put your hand, Lala. Hold on, put your hand.
All right, Lala, go ahead. Say great.
God is great, God is good. Let us sing Him for good. By His hands we are fed. Thank you, God, for a daily bread. Amen.
Amen. Very good.